I need to start by saying that I love kayak fishing, but there are some things you need to consider before getting into this sport. And by the way, some people will say that fishing is not a sport, and I could debate that with you. But what I'm doing today is a sport. Kayak fishing, especially in moving water without a motor, takes lots of planning, strategy, physical ability, coordination, and patience. When I started this endeavor 15 or more years ago, I was in a simple sit-in kayak with one tackle box and a makeshift rod holder. Fishing kayaks, as we know them today, were mainly sit-on-top kayaks with two flush-mount rod holders. As you're watching this B-roll packing up footage, you can see the bass boat in the background occasionally. I love bass boat fishing, but it's a different world. Hooking up a 2,000-pound piece of fiberglass that can go 50 miles an hour across the lake with 20 rods and 15 tackle boxes opens up doors a kayak cannot. But it cannot take you where we are going today. We are headed to the French Broad River. The goal is to paddle upstream from Cruise Landing to the lower end of Seven Islands State Park. As I'm unpacking, it occurs to me how awesome this new boat ramp is. I believe it was put in place by Legacy Parks and Knox County Parks, and if you haven't been here in the last 2 years, you're going to be shocked by how nice this spot is. It is on the French Broad River, which was drastically affected by Hurricane Helene last year. With the format and layout of this new Crescent K-Craft kayak paddleboard, it allows me to fly my drone pretty easy, so I'm going to put that up in the air, and I was really hoping here to be able to scope out how far I may be from any new shoals or anything that may have changed in the river. But truthfully, it was so bright that I couldn't really see my screen that great. I was watching the drone, just visual line of sight type flying, so I was really pleased when I checked this footage out when I got back home that it actually turned out pretty good. I was just trying to align myself with some of these shoals, and if you're really lucky, if you have a drone, sometimes you can see some fish kind of patrolling the shallows behind these, but I did not see any here, and in hindsight, that probably was some foreshadowing, but still a beautiful day to get the drone up. I did see a few things in the water that surprised me. There's an old dock. You might have seen that as we flew over. It looks like it was in the river. I saw two sunken boats that I don't remember being there before, and just in general, the river seems like it has some different characteristics to it. I can't really put my finger on it. It does take me back to a famous quote about the same man cannot step in the same river twice because they are always changing. But it was still a good little flight there, and as you can see now, we're wading up through some shoals and trying to get into some fish. Like I said, my goal was to make it quite a ways upstream here, but I didn't quite get up as far as I wanted, and in a moment we're going to see why my journey upstream kind of crashed out a little bit. You can see we're dragging over some shoals here. I try my best to take good care of my equipment, so I try to find the deepest spot of the shoal, but we're hooked up now.
This is what I want this for.
This is where the chaos of kayak fishing becomes so much fun and the adrenaline's pumping. I'm hooked into a huge fish. My anchor is let go from the bottom. I'm losing my progress from going upstream, even though the fish is pulling upstream, and I'll lose him. So now I finally got my anchor to grab again, and I'm hung. So if you're ever hung and you're fishing in current like this, try to paddle up past the bait and then give it a few yanks. Normally, if you can paddle past whatever you were hooked on, you can normally kind of pop it off there going the opposite direction, but please make a very cautious business decision when doing this. If you feel like paddling up is going to put you in any type of danger, it's worth just breaking that lure off and moving on to fish the next spot with whatever else you've got with you. In this case, I was able to retrieve it. So now let's float over all these shoals we worked really hard to get up across and see if we can find some type of life in this river that wants to eat what I'm throwing. One of my favorite strategies is to come through a shoal and immediately start casting across where the fish could be sitting, waiting to ambush something. And I usually have a lot of really good luck with this, especially in the summer when it's hot. The oxygen levels in the water below the shoals tend to be a little higher. The water is a little cooler because it's getting exposed to more air. Today just did not seem to be the day for bass to be sitting behind these shoals. It was a lot of fun paddling over them though. I always just say be careful if you don't have much experience in this. When you come over the shoal, you do not want to let your kayak turn sideways, get through the shoal, turn around, and then start making some cast. If you have an anchor off the front of your kayak, this is when you would drop it down. And as you can see here, I did switch up to a spinnerbait, and I have hooked a massive drum. And this is a situation where I kind of wish my anchor would have let go because I was not really able to turn this fish very well. I'm only using 12-pound test line on this rod, and he was running downstream on me. I don't really have great audio on my camera, so you can't hear it, but the reel was not happy with me. I could hear the drag really dragging in there, making a lot of friction, which is fine if you're using big equipment, but this is really made for, kind of bass-sized fish. And this is one giant drum. So I'm about to net this fish, and I'm thinking here, once again, I wish I had a bigger net, but I don't want to crowd up the deck of my kayak any more than I already have. So I'm getting the hook out of the fish. Pretty easy to do. Drum mouths are pretty soft. And I go to reach down to get my phone to get a picture of this monster fish, probably 24 inches long, huge fish. And he gets out of the net. So there you go. Now hanging out in my favorite way to fish in this new kayak with my legs just hanging over the side, casting to some shoals. Big shout out, by the way, to my friend Josh. Tell me about that little money spinnerbait. I have been terrible at fishing with spinnerbaits, but I've actually caught some fish on that one. And here is another fish. I bet you're kind of thinking, like, this has got to be a smallmouth. This is a famous smallmouth fishing river, and it's a spinnerbait. Probably not going to catch another bottom feeding drum on that one.
Please
let's check and see. I have to sit down because I'm old. Don't want to fall in trying to find this drum. It's a very stable kayak, but I'm going to need access to my net. Again, only on 12-pound test, so I want to make sure I land. Oh, and it's a drum again. I mean, I hate to be disappointed in catching anything, but it's a drum again. Anyway, so here we are packing up. I had to go as fast as I could. Just kidding. It was very hot out that day. Some people had parked their kayaks blocking the ramp, so I had to do my best with dragging up this little ramp. And ooh, that hurts me to hear my kayak drag on the gravel like that, but that is how life is sometimes. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it.